Hey, Mr. Roy, how are you all the way from Jersey? And how's it going, Brad, all the way from Manitoba, Canada? Great to see you guys. It's so wonderful that you guys are here hanging out with me on a Wednesday. A little bit of a later start, but I had to get the portrait ready, so I'd rather be late and prepared than on time and not prepared. So it's a lot of work to get these paintings going, you know. In the very early going, it's very in depth of the planning and all those stages and everything. So this should be a very good, hopefully, we pray, a good part one. So let's see what we have now. So I'm going to pull up my Pure Ref, and this way I'll have reference, and I'll show you the reference painting that I'm working on. Colette, how are you? All the way from Wisconsin. So great to see you. How are you, Colette? So I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. We'll put her right here. Okay. Now what I can do is maybe I can bring in the image to show you what I'm working from or who I'm working from. Let's see. There we go. Okay, great. So there she is, and I'm just going to move her. Not move that. Let's see. So we'll go to here, and I have to move her. Let's see. Right over here. Okay. Move this like that. So for some reason, I'm unable. Maybe I have her locked. There we go. I had her locked. That's not good. Don't want to lock her up. There she goes. And that's who we're going to be working from. So that's pretty cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's a photo I took years ago. Part of my Persephone series. I actually sold Persephone in Autumn just about a couple of weeks ago, and the person wrote me, wonderful person who purchased it wrote me, and they were very happy and they loved it. So I was inspired to go ahead and paint another one and another version. Hey, what's up there, Paul? Great to see you. How's everything? Paul from Indiana, I believe, if I got that right. Mr. Stephen Leahy, all the way from Ohio. Great to see you as well. So, got a nice, great group here. So, right now, this is pretty much where we're at. You can see this wonderful model I had. And so, she posed for me several times. I lost contact with her, and I hope I get to paint her again. Hope I get to photograph her again. Let's see. So, and those of you who know me know that what I do in this stage is I do the white mixture first, right? So we want to pull out those whites while we can. We don't want any blue shift in the early going, so that's pretty much how we're going to handle that. So let's put this situated here. So now I'm going to set up my white mixture. So I used to put it in a bottle, but I don't anymore because I really like to freshly mix it, strain it, and then make sure that it is perfect, because I don't want any kind of clogs or anything in my airbrush. So let me get my... Now I am working in the Wicked line, but I like to do this particular white mixture part with the Drew Blair's 50/50 illustration white by Createx. Great paint. So I'm going to do that, and let's see. Oh, so before I start, I want to talk about some sad news. Let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in a picture of. So one of our community members, David Lee Trevino, he passed away. His wife, lovely wife, told me about it, and I was just really, really sorry to hear that. He was a great friend of the channel, very nice guy, wonderful artist, and his name, David Lee Trevino. I'm sure some of you have seen him, around the airbrush community, and I want to go ahead and bring in his picture. So I'm just going to download this, and then I'm going to bring in his picture here. Let's see if I can do it this way. So tonight's live stream is dedicated to David Lee Trevino, just a really sweet, nice guy. He will be missed from our community. Just so sad to hear about it, and I don't think anyone has anything bad to say about him. Just always nice, always gracious, always friendly and generous, and we're all going to miss him. But tonight's live stream is dedicated to Mr. David Lee Trevino. So, so thank you guys for, letting me talk about David tonight. So let's see. Yes, guys, it's very sad, but tonight we're going to paint, and it's gonna be in memory of this great friend. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to shake this up really good, really well, and I'm going to go ahead and basically coat the bottom. I like coating the bottom. That almost sounds like it get me demonetized, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some water, and I'm going to do a 50-50. And let's see here. So I'm going to do 50-50 with agua, maybe a little bit more. And then I want to mix it. And I love with my little palette knife, so I'm going to do this far away from my painting, way over here, really, really far. What I'm going to use is Mr. Scott McKay. Great technique of his these little shields. I think they're pipe screens, and they work really well. 3 cheers for Scott McKay. If you haven't seen his live streams, they are fantastico. Thursday night usually, but sometimes he switches it up, but really amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and put it through this off camera. And look at all those little doodads and stuff in there. Ew, right? So now I have perfect paint, and I'm just going to go ahead and clean off my screen. And since we're doing India ink, that's basically going to be all of the acrylic we're using today in the underpaintings. And so now look how beautiful that is. It's just so beautiful. Okay, we're going to put that in. So how many of you guys have done this, where you go to spray but you leave this cap on and it shoots across, and almost gets the cat. I've done that too many times. What I like doing is having a test paper that's the same paper of what I'm using. So this way I can test my spray. You want to, in the beginning, make sure that it's not spraying when you're not pulling back. Right? So right now, this stuff is incredible. Okay, so we'll put that over here. And Mr. Air Todd and Dwayne, great to see you guys. Air Todd from San Diego. How'd you do over there with that hurricane in LA? That was pretty weird. And Dwayne, you were hit with that as well. Are you guys doing okay? From San Luis Obispo? Go Mustangs. Okay, so now what we're doing in this stage is I like adding the white. So we're going to do that. And let's see. You guys have the reference right over there. And let's make this happen, my friends. Okay. And so as I go, I like to get rid of any superfluous pencil lines. Ones that will get in the way, you know? So basically I start out with this gray paper, the color line paper by Canson. Let's see if I could. I want this to be in focus. There we go, that's nice in focus. Perfect. Okay, much better. And alright, so now we're just going to, so we have the gray paper, so I want to create like a bas-relief. So where it's lighter, I'm going to be spraying the white. And basically whatever is facing the light most directly, you know. Oh wow, it completely missed the Central Coast. Wow, thank goodness. A little wind, no trees down or anything, sir? I'm glad you're okay. Well, I was worried about my California peeps, I have to say. We're on the East Coast, we're used to hurricanes. I know you guys aren't used to them. Lately we've been getting them every couple of years. Here we're going to paint a little bit of the retrorbicularis oculi fat pad, which is above the eyelid, upper eyelid, and below the eyebrow, right in there. I want to get the backing on this. Backing is always good. Let's see. Okay, so right here on her forehead, it's a little light there, so we're going to hit that. We're going to hit the upper eyelid a little bit on the left side, camera left. And it's tricky when you're doing this because it looks like nothing's happening. Because when you first spray the white, it wets the paper and actually darkens it. So you wait for it to dry and then it actually is white. And Dwayne says, all good. We did get a couple of shakers and the last couple of days. Wow. Oh yeah, with the earthquakes, right? And oh, so how did it go with you, Todd? Did everything go okay? There was no damage or anything, I hope? So right now I'm just pretty much looking on where the values are lighter than the paper. I may have to raise the air pressure a little bit. Let's see. And I just want to make sure that everything's good back here. Okay. Everything checks out. And I'll just twirl a needle. I like doing that. Huh. Okay, so something's weird going on here. There we go. Seem to have fixed the situation. Always go for the low-hanging fruit first, guys. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and continue. Wow, Dwayne, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Really appreciate your support. It's just amazing, you know. Your support and your friendship to the channel, and always look forward to your friendship, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Dwayne. And definitely now that we're doing a lot of Wicked, so we're definitely glad you're here. And so the support is just really amazing. Thank you so much, sir. So something's interesting with this airbrush. I'm not sure. Probably not going to wrestle with it. It was fine when I cleaned it, but okay, there it is. It might have had something to do with the backing, believe it or not. Let's see. Interesting. So with the backing on there, I had an issue. This is, I think, okay, we're gonna wrestle with it for just a little while longer before I lose my patience. This airbrush is clean, so I haven't even used it, but anything can happen in between that time, and that's kind of what's happening. Dwayne, so cool, sir. I mean, you're amazing, and great people like you keep this thing going and let me know that I'm doing a good job. And I learned so much from you guys. Unbelievable how much I learned. And I'm not being super, super detailed here. I'm just, wherever it's lighter, I'm just going to, whatever's facing that light more directly. Oh, your extreme is hating you for not being used. Oh man, you gotta use it, but I know you work hard, so don't be too hard on yourself, sir. So yeah, it's hard. I know what it's like to, have, a regular job and working and not be able to get to your airbrush. Just don't be too hard on yourself, that's all. You'll get around to it. I'm going to start working on her neck area a little bit. So I'm really concentrating on what is facing the light most directly. And that's what's going to get the white, right? So what's facing the light is getting more white. And Dwayne says, not sure how I like hurricanes, but he does like shakers because he grew up with them. Oh wow, so it's like second nature to you, huh, Dwayne? Wow. Yeah, so if I experienced one, I think I would freak out. The only time there was one here on the East Coast, I was in college out in Long Island. I'm going to be right back, guys. Going to use the bathroom. Talks amongst yourselves. Okay, thanks guys. So glad you waited for me. And let's see. Okay, so now we're just continuing with the white mixture a little bit. Thanks so much for your patience. Right here on her deltoid, there's more light here, so I'm going to make sure I hit that because it's facing the light most directly. So basically, using the gray paper, whatever's lighter than the gray paper, that's what I'm going to paint. Hey Rick, how you doing? Great to see you. All the way from Canada, British Columbia. I'm so glad you're here. So we got two Canadians in the house, so love my Canadian friends. You guys are just amazing. Oh, I do have something here, which is the cutout for her dress. So this will come in handy. And pull this up a little bit. This will come in handy to create that nice edge. So we'll put some magnets here. So it's all preparation, you know. Airbrush is a lot of preparation, guys, you know. And Travis, how you doing, my friend? Great to see you. How's everything? I love the work you're doing, my friend. So glad you're here. And Travis is from Minnesota, so that's cool. So always try and know where my friends are from, and that's important. Okay, so right here we have a nice blast of light right here. So that's where, you know, the white mixture really comes into play. You know, these blasts of light that you want to establish. Okay. And so cool. We got a great group today. I love it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Wednesday night. And we started a little bit late tonight. It's just I wanted to make sure that I was prepared. Rather start a little bit later and be better prepared, you know. Gonna hit the white of the eyes. And let's see. It's interesting because there's a lot of light in this photograph. And it really helps when you take your own photograph because you were there, you know, and you're getting exactly what you're looking for. I mean, don't let it ever stop you, right, from painting, because it doesn't matter if it's our own photograph. It's only better if it's our own photograph. Let's see what's going on back here. Nothing too light. Over here we have a blast of light. Okay. A little bit right here, the depressor anguli oris at the corner of the mouth. Right at the base of the nose by the glabella. Okay, so I think that's good for now, right? I think that's pretty good. Alright, so that's our white mixture. We're going to leave that over to the side. I have, like right now, I believe I have a dark color, which is the light mixture in here. So I'm going to clean out my Extreme Patriot Arrow. And what I want to do is put in the detail mixture, 50-50, 1 part water, 1 part detail mixture of my Airbrush India inks. Hey Ryan, great to see you. How are you, my friend? So today we are painting one of my series of Persephone. And Persephone is the Roman goddess, and she ate the forbidden fruit in paradise, and now she has to spend half the year with Pluto in the underworld, and then every year during spring she gets to go back to paradise. So this one is basically Persephone in winter. So I've done several already. I've done Persephone in summer, autumn, and this is going to be winter. So it's a recurring theme with me, you know. So this is a model that I photographed, and so now we're going to do the underpainting, and then we're going to shellac it, and then after we shellac it, we are going to go in with color, and we're going to use the Createx Wicked paint. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to this project with you guys. And Ryan, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Really appreciate you, sir. I'm going to do a little bit more, maybe about, I would say maybe 40% of the detail, 60% water, because I want it really light. I want to do some really light modeling. I'm going to dilute this even more, because I do want it super light. And that's what you want in the beginning. You want it to be super, super diluted. Put that here. Okay, great. So now I have a really beautiful dilution. Extreme Patriot Arrows working well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about something that Steve Leahy was talking about in one of his live streams. And I really highly recommend going to Steve Leahy's live streams, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook. And I'll show you exactly what I learned, which is really great. As soon as I can find my freehand shield, because you know they're invisible, right? So let's see. So I have this one for the lips, and wow, where is it? Here we go. Okay, we're in good shape. So now I have this one, so I can move this shield off. So yeah, I mean, the artists out there who are doing the live streams, they're just so darn gracious, and you know, I always want to support them as much as possible, because they really keep the creative juices going by showing us new ways of doing things. Let's see. So I'm going to put this, situate this. Gotta make sure I do it correctly. Okay. So I'm going to do just locate, even though I have the line drawing, I'm going to reinforce that by spraying in some of the large anatomical landmarks, and I think that's going to help a lot. And hey, look at that, Mr. Bill. How's it going, sir? Good to see you. So glad you're here from Nashville area in Tennessee. So glad you're here, sir. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have this correctly, because if it's not correct, no sense of spraying. So, you know, make sure that you're extremely exact, and preparation is everything, just like chess, right? No difference. Oh, that looks good. Okay, we're in business. I like that that guy, Tom Sizemore, the actor, when he was in Saving Private Ryan, and he was always like, "We're in business." Excellent movie, by the way. Let's see. Travis says, Steve, your method is great. Been using the multi-cut method. His F-18 jet and last portrait turned out much tighter. Very cool, you know. So I'm gonna have a beer. Let's see. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I want to talk about something that I learned from Steve Leahy's live stream. And what he talked about is that you can just, when you have it cut, you can cut just a line, and what you do is you can get like a crease in the eyes, right? So let's say the crease of the eyelid, right? You can actually get that by just cutting a slit, and by cutting that slit, I don't have to worry about finding that eyelid, the crease of the eyelid, and I just thought that was amazing. So I did it before, and I wanted to show you guys and tell you where I learned it. I'm not taking credit for it. It's just really, really amazing. So basically, this is just something that I'm doing right now to kind of help out the line drawing, right? So I did a detailed line drawing, and then I'll use this these shields for that, you know. And so right now I have the cast shadow behind the wing of the nostril. I have the nostril here, and then the line in between the lips, the upper and lower lip. So we'll see how it works if I did it as good as Steve, hopefully. See if I get an A or a C or a D minus. So basically, I'm just going to let this dry, and I'm just going to give it another shot. And like I said, I diluted my detail mixture something awful, right? He really is. He really is, guys. And I really love, I love the videos that Mr. Bill Kennedy does. Some incredible, incredible stuff. His video on the projectors was the best out there, and on that printer he uses, and just the techniques that he has and he shares is very gracious. And so, alright, so look, it did work, guys. I was able to do that, so this is cool. So we'll move this out, and we'll show you just what Steve Leahy's technique I learned last week. So basically, I'm going to maybe darken this a bit, and I'll zoom in, and you'll see by just doing a slit, and that sprays, and that's enough to create that wonderful contour. So I'm going to be doing that a lot more. And so you worked hard to get the line drawing, so why go ahead and have to paint it again? and this way. But look how that is. That's like really on the money. And we'll look on the other side. It really is wild. So I'm getting rid of the pencil line. And you can just see how that's beautiful. And I'm going to keep that. So when hey, how's it going, Ninja Running Wild? How's everything? So glad you're here. And so basically, I'm going to keep that. When I come in with the Wicked color, I'll be able to work on that as well. So now we're going to work on something with the upper and lower lip here. And let's see how this goes. Okay, so we have the upper and lower lip, and I want to establish that. Like I said, I already drawing it, and this is basically going to support my drawing, right? That's what it is. And so Mr. Where did Ninja? So Ninja, where are you from, my friend? Always love hearing where you guys and girls are from. So I'm going to make sure I line this up correctamundo, as the Fonz would say. Correctamundo. Okay. So what I did was I made it so I'm going to kind of flip it over and do the upper lip, put it back, flip it over in the other direction, and do the lower lip. Pretty cool. Upstate New York. Okay, thank you so much. Forgive my memories, Ninja. You know, it's not as good as it used to be, but give me a couple of times and I will get it, I promise. So I'm so glad you're here, and thank you so much for hanging out with us, and it's so cool. So I'm so glad that you decided to just, you know, be gracious and spend a little bit of your Wednesday night with me, with us, because this is a great airbrushing community. Really is. These guys and girls here are just excellent painters and really sweet people. And you know what? Is there anything better? You know? I don't know. Talented painters and sweet people. I think that's amazing. That's a great combination right there. So I'm peeling back the lower lip. Let me make sure I got it right. Okay. Alright, here goes nothing. So my Extreme Patriot arrow is humming along like beautifully. So we're just going to spray in that. We don't want to go too dark or too wet too early. And oh, and Ninja says I'm downstate. Yeah, pretty close. I am in New Jersey, in Little Ferry, probably about 5 miles from downtown New York. So yes, definitely right close to downstate. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just flip this up so you can see what it looks like right now. Remember, her upper lip is much darker than the lower lip, so we're going to take that in consideration when we're doing this. See that? The upper lip is basically established, right? So now we're going to work on lip number 2. So I'm going to take a tiny magnet, and this is really being efficient with your shields, right? So look at that. Bam. Okay, so I flipped it this way. This way I'm going to flip that way. Well, this lip I'm going to flip that way. Come on. Help me out here. Come on. You got this. You know what? Needles are great. There we go. Okay, that was something that was a lot harder than it should have been, right guys? So I'm just going to put this right there. And then put this right here. There we go. So now we can spray in and establish the lower lip. Remember, the lower lip is lighter, much lighter than the upper lip. So I'm going to be a little further away. And then we got a little bit of a shadow here, which is pretty cool. And that's it. This whole piece of acetate was just for that. And there we go. We have her upper and lower lip established. I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to erase that upper lip, lower lip a little bit. And let's see, what else do we have? Okay, let's establish her hair. Why not, right? Let's do that. Let's make this happen. Should we establish her hair? No, we don't need to. We're going to pretty much continue with the face now. And let's see. Brad says underpainting with India ink, then shellac, then wicked paint. Yes, definitely. So yeah, so this is actually acetate that I cut out on a vinyl cutter, and I do that from my own line drawing, which is really cool. It's my own little technique there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and just start to flesh out some of her eyes and everything like that. So let's go ahead and make that happen. Okay, so I like to start with the eyes, and we'll start with the eyes on camera right. So why do I do an underpainting? Because it's a lot easier doing all the decisions in the early going in black and white, all the lines and all the edges and everything. So when I'm working in color, I'm just dealing with chroma and saturation, right? That's all I'm dealing with. So, you know, that's a lot easier. And let's see. And we'll just, I don't want to get too detailed too early, but let's move on over to her other eye. Oh, Ryan says, are you underpainting with India ink? Definitely. That's my whole thing. When I'm working in pastel or working in oils, I always do my underpainting in India ink. Because it's like, through the airbrush, it's like the best for underpainting. It really is. I mean, as far as control, I think this is the most controllable stuff you can ever put through your airbrush. I think I sold probably about 200 sets and not one came back to me. Everyone really loved it. So that's good to hear. So now I think that dried a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and lighten up this lower lip just a little bit. There we go. And maybe I'll just darken this here. And then this little area in between the two lips. She has just the slightest little Mona Lisa smile, so I definitely want that in this painting. So that's something I'm trying to establish. But it's so great I was able to hit that that really beautiful contour of the upper eyelid, so that was a real win. Now it's very deep, it's very diluted, so I have to be patient, but I want it diluted because I'm in no rush and I want to make sure that I get these gradations and try and get try and actually to get some texture while I'm doing this. Right here, this is the Malafat as it comes out from here. It actually sticks out right on top of it. Underneath here, going around the eye, is the Orbicularis oculi. And so we just have to make sure that this Malafat is coming above that muscle, the Orbicularis oculi. Very interesting, in the last painting, you can see where the upper lateral cartilage is almost very similar to what I was seeing in the Sinead O'Connor painting that I just finished. And remember, these pencil lines are just training wheels. The trick is to get rid of them, but not too soon, you know? So the acetate is basically easy to cut, and so you can basically, you know, cut really nice shields, so when you're working on your painting, which is really great. And basically I can do all this. I don't need any of this stuff, but it really speeds up the process, and that's what we like. We like to speed up the process so we can finish it and get on to our next piece and just get better and better. And I'm working on her nose and her nostril here, and then this nostril. So with this diluted detail mixture, I can get really super fine. And I don't have to worry about getting too dark too early. Remember, it's like painting yourself in the corner. You don't want to get too dark too early, right? You want to gradually get there. And build up your darks right now. And you build up your darks, and then you can slowly, consequently, build up your midtones, and then your lights are just going to reveal themselves and pop out. And that's what you want your lights to reveal themselves. So like right here, you can see this looks really dark out of the gate just because everything else is super light. So don't let that, you know, kind of throw you off. Just know that things will catch up. And let's see. That's true if you know, it's pretty deep of the technique of what I do, and but I'm really happy to share as much with you as possible. But a lot of this stuff is like really in depth and a lot of different steps. But if you get something like a Cameo 4 or a Silhouette Cameo 4 or let's say a Cricut, those really help. Or you get yourself a a professional vinyl cutter, but it really will help you. But I use it, and my students use it for our own drawings. So it's a great way to transfer your drawing onto your painting surface, and then using that drawing to create some shields to help you make paint some really beautiful edges. So I'm basically working on hey Wendy, how are you? Great to see you. So glad you're here. How's everything? Wendy is from Texas, just outside of Dallas. So glad you're here. Now I'm going to be working on this side plane of her face. And I have to realize and take note that there's reflected light coming from her shoulder and part of her sternocleidomastoid, so right there. And you know, with the underpainting technique, you definitely want to enjoy it, right? That's important. I'm going to look at this on my TV, and I'm going to see if it's as clear as I want it to be. So I'm just going to go to my TV right here. I always want to give you all the best production ever. So I'm going to see, maybe I can increase the contrast on this so you all can see it. I was kind of worried that it was not clear, so I'm pretty happy with it, so that's cool. And so now we'll continue. Yeah, hey Wendy, you heard the Bee Gees. Yeah, I was listening to, what song was I listening today? It was really good. Ryan says, you probably said it before, but what surface are you painting on? Oh, no, I love your questions. Thank you so much. I use this color line paper by Canson, and it's the 300 GSM, or 189 pounds paper, and the color is pebble gray. So keep those questions coming. So I really enjoy your questions, guys. No bad questions here. So never hesitate. Never ever hesitate. That's what I'm here for, to answer your questions. And hopefully inspire you all to create your wonderful paintings. Here we go. So like I said, right here it's going to look super dark, but that's because everything else is super light. So don't worry about that. Don't let it throw you. And then when we start getting rid of some of these pencil lines, everything's going to start looking much better. Wow, so Wendy says it was over 105 degrees. That's hot. Oh, I don't think I would like that very much. Right now I'm going to paint the Orbicularis oris, which is that straight line right underneath the lower lip. When you're looking for these anatomical forms, it makes it a lot easier to actually work and find them. And Wendy says, saying hi to everybody. So cool, Wendy. That's great. Ninja says this has been one of the coolest summers he remembers in New York. Usually have a span of 30 days over 90 this year. Wow. So yeah, we had it down here pretty hot. But you guys probably had a much cooler summer. Yeah, it was a rough June and early August here. But I like it when it's summer. I want it to be summer. When it's winter, I want it to be winter. So I'm okay with it. But I had to walk a couple of times in this heat, and that was no fun. Wow, that was rough. And oh, your waterfall is going to be astronomical. Oh, are you building a waterfall? Wendy, that's really cool. Raise that air pressure a little bit. And now we're going to use some freehand shield action here. Perpendicular and not parallel. We all know that drill. And I'm just going to crawl along the surface here. Oh, water bill. That's a lot different than a waterfall, right? Just a couple of letters could change the whole sentence, right? So I'm going to go ahead and erase some of these pencil lines that are no longer needed and just soften her up. And so this lower lip actually comes out quite further than the upper lip comes out quite a bit further. So we'll see that's important. And then we get a little bit more of an aggressive eraser here. Here. Hey Michael, how are you today? From Maryland. Great to see you, sir. How's everything? How's the painting of your dad coming out? And she has beautiful dark brown eyes. So even though I put in the pupil, they're pretty much not showing up. So don't want to make things up. So right here is a supraorbital eminence, which is a protuberance that we all have right above our eye socket. So I'm making sure I'm indicating that. I'm looking for these anatomical forms so I'm able to see them a lot clearer. I mean, they're still there, but I'm finding them with much more clarity, knowing that these anatomical forms are there. Here I could use my freehand shield on the cast shadow. And I like going perpendicular and not parallel. And this way there's no line there, which is important. And then she says, Tim, do you still do one-on-one classes? I recall you having them on your site. Yes, I do. So if you're interested, definitely let me know, because I do have an opening, which is great. So if you are, let me know, and I'll be glad to. You can email me or go to my site, you know, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. And I have some students that are with me 3.5 years already, and so I really appreciate my students. They're just amazing, and I have a lot of fun with them, because you know, it's when you teach you actually learn, you know. And so I love teaching, and I love, you know, hearing how and seeing how different artists see the world differently, and my job is to just amplify their greatness. I'll be right back, guys. Hold that thought. And we're getting okay. We're getting far. Okay, I'm back. Thanks so much. And I appreciate your patience. And let's see. So, I hope my glasses are over here. Okay, so says here, oh, Brad says Tim classes are great, Ninja, excellent value and instruction. Thanks so much, Brad. I really appreciate that. I'll play some more Bee Gees. And Michael says that white and orange mixture worked out really good. Wow, your dad, a part of the portrait, it was bothering you because it was so small, the size of the thumb. So I'm so glad that orange and white mixture with the Wicked really works, because that's the best way to lighten it up if you don't want to do any scratching techniques or erasing. So I love it. It's more like the marriage of fine art and airbrushing together. So I really like painting that way. And it gives it a nice oil painting look. So that's really cool. So the really super light mixture, I'm going to kind of abort that, and I want a little more body in the ink. So I'm going to go back to the 1:1, 1 part ink, 1 part water, and a detail mixture. Sometimes too much of a good thing, you know, too much control could be bad. So just going to do this 50-50 here, mix this up really well, and we should be in business. Okay, a little more body there, so that's good. Okay, so let's work on this cast shadow here. And then it just sort of fades into her dark of her hair here. I do have a hair only. Let me go ahead and see if I can find the hair only, and we'll put that in. And it would be nice to kind of show off the dark and contrast between the face and the hair. So let me go ahead and get that for you. Now, where is with all this acetate and everything, everything's invisible, so it's hard to see. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put the hair only stencil on. Let's see here. This way we can spray her hair, and we'll have a nice head start. So one of the things I like to do is to go ahead and set everything up as quickly as possible. My teacher Harvey Dinnerstein said that it's always great to cover your surface with paint as soon as possible, so you can see everything and start to get the relationships, you know? Let's see. Move this over, make sure everything is good. Alright, so now I think we're in good shape, and I got a little darker mixture in here. And we're just going to establish the contours of her face. Right here, put these magnets there. And it's important to have your tonal framework down. And it's only value relationships. It's not the actual values. That's too much to ask for in the beginning, but to get the value relationships of one area darker than the other, and then just building from there is a great way to start your painting. It really is. And let's see. Yes, that's a great idea. Dwayne says on these little acetate things to write on them with a Sharpie. Possibly a really bright color, right, sir? That's a great idea. Dwayne's always coming up with these amazing ideas, man, and techniques. I don't know what I'd do without him. I mean, so cool. The one he had, you know, with the razor blade and the magnets, that was incredible. So you see, I'm just establishing the dark mass of her hair. When I lift this off, then we're going to see our beautiful her beautiful contours, and we can just build on that. And Dwayne says he does that even with his paper cutouts, just makes it quicker. Yes, time is money, and time is, you know, more stuff to do other things, right? And Ninja says, what this razor blade magnet technique? Oh, that's, Dwayne has it, and, you know, it's pretty cool. And it has to do when you're, you want to cover something with like a freehand shield or something like that. That's real small. Let's see. Okay, so you see with this detail mixture 50-50 with water, I can, you know, create the mass of the hair, but I'm not going half as dark as I should. And yeah, great technique there, Dwayne, definitely. So yeah, I talked about a technique that I did with Mr. Steve, I learned from Steve Leahy, and now Dwayne, so very cool. Alright, so when I lift this, we should see some beautiful contours, and we do. And doesn't mean that we don't have something to fix. It's good when you have something to fix. It's not a bad thing. And I'm just going to... There we go. And wipe that off. You don't want to reposition the ink or paint. So I always believe my drawing rather than any shield or anything. So just fixing that contour. You can see her face at her zygomatic bone or cheekbone comes in at a steeper angle. we go. Always believe you're drawing than any shield. Okay, so now I'm really happy with the mass of her hair. And then you can see just how light I am in the shadows. I thought the shadows were super dark, but in reality they were just, everything else around the shadows were just super light. And this is where the bread and butter of your painting is, right here. This is where you're making the major drawing decisions. In the early going, things are going to look weird, but that's where you just have to have patience with yourself. Very cool. That's a great technique. So true. Mr. Kennedy says reminds him he needs to brush up on anatomy. It's always best, you know. It's like having it's like if you're a baseball player, you know, to have that donut on the bat and swing that. So when you don't have that donut on there, and you know, it's just so much lighter. And so by me studying anatomy, learning the names and everything, I really see the human face so much clearer. And Wendy, have a great night. Thank you so much. It's always great to see you. I'm glad you're getting to bed early. Early to bed, early to rise, right? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get better with that, guys. Just working on the contour a little bit. I'm going to work on her nostril. I like moving around at this stage, very important. Trying to get that little bit of smile there. It's a lot to ask in the beginning. You're thinking of bigger things than the smile at this point. But keep that in mind as you're working. You know, something that, you know, to think of every painting as something you want to say. You know, something about the model, something you see, and just, you know, keep that in back of your head while you're painting. And it keeps your intent, you know, when, you know, what you're intending with the painting. Yeah, I'm a very technical painter, but the emotional part is really crucial. It's dark over here. And so the wing of the nostril, but let's get this cast shadow right here. Then we have the wing of the nostril. Everything is being affected by light and shade, right? So it's all about angles, and angles on how it is, angles in relation to where the light is. So the light is above her and it's to the camera left. So everything that is to the right and below is going to get shadow. And to whatever degree it's facing away, it's going to get darker. To whatever degree it's going facing towards the light, it's going to get lighter. So really cool. Ryan says, how many hours do you usually put into your portraits? It's hard to say. I would say probably 3 times 4. I would say between 12 and 15 hours, you know? And sometimes more, like if it's, you know, if there's a lot like folds and stuff like that, it's longer. But usually 20 hours. If I'm doing a full figure, then I'm looking at 40 hours. Because when you're doing a full figure, then you have more things to relate and everything. So it's a little more difficult. And that's a little too dark, but I'll come back and revisit that. Because sometimes if you see it's too dark, you don't want to erase it in the early stages, because when you darken around it, it's just going to lighten up anyway. So it might be premature to lighten it up at this stage. See what it's like when you put the other forms in. And Mike says sometimes when he has two things really close, using magnets to hold them down, he uses one part curve of the magnet also. Interesting. Okay, cool. We all have our little techniques when we're doing small areas, right? So right here I have my dark, and you can see as it's turning further away at that angle, it gets darker, and as it comes down here, it gets lighter because of the reflected light that's bouncing off of her shoulder. And if I want it lighter and softer, I just increase my distance. That's all. And take your time. Don't get emotional about the painting, meaning let it cook, you know. If it's not looking perfect, that's okay. Just continue with the program. Look for those anatomical forms, and before you erase, just make sure that it's dry, because you don't want to damage the paper. And if you do erase on wet paper, you're going to find out exactly what I mean really quickly. So don't do that. And right here we're going to start getting rid of some pencil lines. Now there are training wheels, so you don't want to get rid of them too soon. Then down here, ooh, that was a good catch. Down here, a lot of these areas that are too dark really has to do with the pencil lines kind of blending in with the Airbrush India ink. So we'll just kind of lighten them as we go. Very cool. Great ideas you guys are all sharing, so I appreciate that a lot. So yeah, those pencil lines, they're great, but eventually you have to get rid of them because they get in the way. So right now we want to hit this dark area right here because we're going to be getting rid of the pencil line. So I'll be working on this during the week, and when we come back I'll have this all shellacked, and then we'll start working in our wicked paints, which is always a lot of fun. And this will be my third painting working with wicked paints, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. This is all super soft edge here. When I get rid of the pencil lines, things will start looking much more assimilated. Oh, so is that a special eraser? This is an aggressive eraser. It's like a typewriter eraser, so they're really hard to find now, and they're really great. Definitely I use that a lot. Making sure that I'm getting the right contour here. And let's start doing some of the anatomical forms here. So right here, this is her sternocleidomastoid, and that's coming up right here. So the sternocleidomastoid comes up and pretty much goes right behind her ear, right? That's the sternocleidomastoid. It goes from behind her ear and behind the ear and just to the back of her head, and it comes right down and connects to the clavicle. Part of it connects to the clavicle. It kind of splits, and part of it connects to the sternum. So the sternocleidomastoid really is like a landmark muscle that's going to make sure that you're making her look anatomically sound. You want your model to be able to come off the picture plane and actually walk and not be a mutant. So that's why it's so important, you know, to know your anatomy. One day I was having a conversation with a medical doctor, and we were talking about, I don't know how the conversation came up, but we were talking about different parts of the anatomy. And he asked me if I was, because I was a young man at the time, if I was like a medical student. So that was pretty cool. You don't have to have that much knowledge, so it's not like you feel like you failed if you don't have that much knowledge. But if you specialize in the figure, the more knowledge you have of the human body, the easier it's going to be. And the more profound your work is going to be. So right here, coming down from the corner of the mouth, is depressor anguli oris. And the name actually describes it. So the depressor anguli means pulling it down at an angle, the muscle that makes her frown, and the oris is the mouth. So the muscle that pulls down the mouth muscle, or pulls down the mouth, the depressor anguli oris. And so the name usually describes exactly what it's doing or what it does or where it is. Of course, if you don't paint the figure a lot, then the importance of anatomy diminishes. But someone like me who paints the figure most of the time, it's crucial that I know it. And by knowing anatomy, you'd be surprised you start to get a lot more character in your portraits. More emotion. Oh my God, so it's 11:30. So I'm going to give you guys an extra half hour because I started late. So, not an extra half hour, but I started late, so I'll work a little later. So, wow, I can't believe it's 11:30 already. It's cool because I can come over here and look and see how it looks on the big screen. So she's looking pretty good thus far. I mean, it's still early, so it's in the early stages. So I'm going to try and do it over the weekend. So when we come back, we could go right into the Wicked paints. Am I out? I'm out. I'm out of my detail mixture. So now I'm going to continue with the 50-50, half detail, half water. And I think we should start working on her body a little bit. Michael said that he's thinking about going back and try to fix the one picture that he messed up with real bad to see if he can fix it. It has been sitting on the side for a long time. Yeah, what do you got to lose, right, sir? Give it a shot. So now we're going to start working on her body a little bit. And it's interesting, we have this shadow of her hair that comes down in between her breasts here. I want to have a nice hard edge here. So if this was going to be a painting just in airbrush and India ink, I would definitely handle it different now. So now I'm not being as tight, I'm a little bit looser because I know I'm coming in with color. And so now it's always good to have some drawing skills because if you miss something, you can always come back and kind of fill in the missing spots. Okay. Again, a little freehand shield action here. A little bit looser because I'm coming in with color. A little bit looser and just a little bit lighter than I normally would go. Doing little creases in her arm there. And then we see that we have this shadow going around her. So here the clavicle actually comes into this acromium process here, right here, which is where the clavicle, the sternum, no, the clavicle, the scapula meet. And then there's the deltoid and the humerus bone. And it's good to know how to sketch with your airbrush, right? It's a very important skill. And this is exactly how I sketch with pencil. Exactly. And let's see. Hey, Nameless, great to see you. How are you, my friend? Steve says time flies. He's going to head out. Hope you have great. Thanks for hanging out, Mr. Steve. Always a pleasure. Take care, my friend. Thanks so much for hanging out, sir. Oh, great. So Nameless is working on the sketching with the airbrush, which is really cool. Ryan says, have a good night all. Thanks, Tim. Always a pleasure, Ryan. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you for hanging out. Hope to see you next week, sir. Oh, we have to make sure that I'm still working on her body here. There we go. And I think I went a little overzealous here with the depressor anguli oris. Let's calm that down. Too much of a good thing. You can see how the depressor anguli oris comes down over here. go. So starting to get more refined as we go. I do have something that has just her dress. Let's see if I can find that, and maybe I could go ahead and establish it, and it'll give us a good head start. Like my teacher said, Harvey Dinnerstein, cover the painting as quick as possible. Cover the surface, you know, right off the bat. Here we go. So this would be good. Ooh. Move this over here like this. So I'm just going to concentrate here and here. This is going to be a little bit different. So I don't like the drawing on that. So I'm just going to concentrate on this angle here and here, these edges. Okay. And this is quite dark. So we'll put this in. Oh yeah, so Michael asked if I'd done real small portraits. Sure, like the head being no more than like 2 inches in airbrush too. It's a fun challenge, definitely. I like working small, Mike. I really do, when it comes to portraits. It's just more intimate when you work small. Plus, you're not taking up more room and it's just more comfortable to work. So this is good. So now you'll see once I lift this shield how now everything else kind of falls into place here. There you go. So you see how she's starting to come together, and so you want to have that coming together rather quickly, right? Quicker than not. And this way we could work on her arm. And then we can see here the arm looks too wide because we're not painting the form. So as it turns towards the light, so our arm is not that massive. It's quite thin, so we have to make it round. Ninja, thanks so much for hanging out all the way from upstate New York. So great to see you, sir. If you have any questions, always feel free to email me, paintedglyphs@gmail.com, or just write a message on, you know, a comment on any one of my videos. I'd be glad to tell you more about the one-on-one classes that I have. So I have an opening, which is great. I don't always have an opening. So if you're interested, let me know, and we can talk further about it. I can answer all your questions, you know, which is cool. So thanks for the inquiry. So right here it's much darker. I'm just going to put that in. And when I want to get it lighter, I just increase my distance. And it does two things. It makes it lighter and softer edged. So use the aerodynamics of your airbrush to do the heavy lifting. Pretty cool. So we got a lot done so far, right? Not bad, guys. It's going to take a swig of water here. It's a little bit different approach. If I was doing a full portrait just with the Airbrush India inks, I would have different goals, right? So here, just basically trying to get all the contours right and get the major shapes and the value relationships, and then after that it's all about preparing for color. So it's a different kind of approach to the same medium. And I think we can start getting rid of some pencil lines here. What's great about the Airbrush India ink, unlike acrylic, the pencil lines actually come to the surface, so the ink does not get in the way, so you can erase the pencil lines with full impunity. Nothing gets trapped underneath, and that is a real big payoff, you know. So make sure you're ready to get rid of those pencil lines, because that's important. You don't want to get rid of them too early. And let's see. Brad says she's looking really great. A great start. I appreciate that, sir. And Michael says, him and his second year of airbrushing, it has been fun watching me, Scott McKay, and Steve Leahy has helped tremendously in the 8 hours of time I have to do work on airbrush only 1 day a week. Oh, that's great. And that's, you know, and I was saying that about how cool it is, you know, that Steve Leahy and Steve McKay do the live streams, and you know, myself, I love doing them, and those guys really inspire me to continue. So yeah, I mean, us live streamers in airbrush are really, you know, there's not many of us, but we really love it. You know, we love interacting with artists, you know, especially airbrush artists, because we're an interesting group. And so I really enjoy it. And I wouldn't miss the Wednesday night live streams for anything, doing these with you guys and girls. Right here. So you got to watch out also that you're not creating more contrast than is there, right? So you want to keep those values compressed close together, because if they're too far away, you're going to lose the character of the model, and that's never a good thing. But as you see, little by little, I'm getting there, right? I'm just, sticking with the program, looking for anatomical landmarks, moving around, and thinking about working in the wicked paints, right? Because that's the main thing. So I'm setting it up. Right here at the Filtrum, we want to have that set up. And there we go. And the pencil lines do eventually get in the way, so you want to definitely get rid of them in a timely fashion. Otherwise, they'll impede your progress of creating the forms. So right here is a kind of interesting trouble spot. I'm not sure what's happening here. Okay. So cool. Oh, we can get rid of some more pencil lines over here. The superorbital eminence right here above the eyelid, the eye socket, not the eyelid. And just softening her up, I want to paint her beauty, not diminish it. Oh, thank you. Mr. Todd says it looks better than what he can do in 6 hours. You do some great work there, Mr. Todd. Don't sell yourself short. Brad says, thanks for another great feed. Have a great night, everyone. Take care, Brad, all the way from Manitoba. Great to see you. Michael says she's looking really good. Cannot wait to see more of her being done. Tim also, good night, and I'll see you later. Thank you, my friend Michael, all the way from Maryland. Great to see you. So glad you're here. We got 2 more minutes to go. I always try and give you all the full 2 minutes. Full 2 hours, not 2 minutes. That would be the fastest live stream ever. And so I always enjoy painting this model. She's great. Like I said, I hope I get to paint her again. And I can see where, sometimes you got to make sure that you're not putting more information that's there, because that could be very detrimental to what you're trying to do. Hey Raul, great to see you. Have a great night, my friend. Dwayne says, definitely looking great, Tim. One day I'll try the underpainting thing in black. That would be great. Let me know when that happens. Thanks so much for the great compliment there, Raul. And Nameless, have a great night. We still got, I think, 30 seconds left. Let me see. 11:59. I'll keep spraying until I see the 12 o'clock. Up, it's 12 o'clock, guys. Full 2 hours. Thanks for hanging out, especially with the late start. But I think we have a good start thus far. And when we come back, we're going to dive into painting this. I'm going to shellac it, work on it some more, shellac her. And then after she shellac, we're going to go in with the Wicked paints. Everyone, Dwayne, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for the support, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with me on a Wednesday. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care, everybody.